Well, a federal judge in Texas struck down the Biden administration's legal guidance for the interpretation of Title IX yesterday, saying the government, quote, engaged in unlawful agency action taken in excess of their authority, end quote. This guidance was non-binding, but formed the basis for the Biden administration's more recent rewrite of Title IX to equate gender identity with biological sex. Now, this court decision represents just one of many efforts to curb this radical rewrite of Title IX, which includes at least 9 states' attorneys general filing lawsuits against the rewrite, and an upcoming Congressional Review Act resolution to nullify the language in the ruling. In fact, this afternoon, Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith of Mississippi, who was a part of this, had this to say at a press conference, clip 9.
President Biden's Title IX regulation stretches the law way beyond reason, ignores basic biological facts, and infringes on the rights of parents and teachers. It is a backward rule that only hurts women and girls by stripping away opportunities and rights they have enjoyed for decades.
Joining me now to discuss this, Congresswoman Mary Miller. She serves on the House Committee on Education and the Workforce and the House Committee on Agriculture. She represents the 15th Congressional District, and she has been leading on this pushback against the Biden administration's rewrite of Title IX. Congresswoman Miller, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always good to see you.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to share how we're going to push back against this evil.
Well, good news yesterday. It's a good start out of the court in Texas. Your reaction to that court decision?
Well, that just shows us the importance of having good judges. And this is a big win for us. So, we're going to carry on and push back. And whether it's fathers fighting for their daughters, pushing back and saying, my daughter's not going to shower with a guy in the girls' public school locker room. I mean, this is, Ben Carson called it ridiculous, and it is.
And the American people are certainly with you on this issue. In fact, certainly the Republican voters, where upwards of 90% of them agree that this is crazy that government would be doing this. Give our listeners and our viewers kind of a little glimpse into what you're working on in conjunction with, like I just played a clip from Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. Talk about some of the congressional action.
Sure. So, as your listeners probably know, in 1972, Title IX was passed to give our girls and women equal access to educational opportunities, which include scholarships, athletic teams, and then, sex-segregated private spaces. And Joe Biden now has radically flipped this on its head because he's radical and everything he does is radical. And it's basically going to force all public schools, even private schools, any school that's taking any federal money from, they're going to be forced to allow boys and men in girls' athletics, in their locker rooms, showers. It's also going to force coerced speech. So, I can see ahead that there's going to be even more chaos when teachers are fired or students are expelled because they've misgendered a transgender person.
So we're talking about pronouns here, that they have to use a particular pronoun or description that the individual chooses that is not in alignment with their biological sex. So tomorrow, the House Committee on Education and the Workforce will conduct a public markup that includes a Congressional Review Act that would nullify the Biden administration's Title IX rule. Now, this comes as at least 9 states have also filed lawsuits against the Biden administration's Title IX rewrite.
Yes.
Momentum is building. Do you anticipate seeing this Congressional Review Act passing?
Absolutely. And I already have 70 other members signed on to it. And I think, as word gets out, more and more members will sign on. I mean, it's only common sense. And another thing, I started the Congressional Family Caucus, and we're standing up for parental rights and we're standing up for our children. And this is a big issue for us, whether it's, we've been standing against the transgendering of minor children, but this Congressional Review Act is going to reverse Joe Biden's radical Title IX bill, and I believe it will pass.
So, Congresswoman Mary Miller, how can people help? How can our listeners and our viewers weigh in here?
Okay, well, I just want to say, in your realm of influence, get involved. If your children or if your daughters are being forced to, shower or share a locker room or a sports team, go to the school and protest and tell them that you're going to withdraw your child or transfer them to another school. And, we just have to push back. This is evil. And like our good friend Erwin Lutzer says, evil never retreats on its own, only when it's confronted by a more powerful force. And we are a force if we do it together. And I want the American people, like the majority, oppose Joe Biden's radical rewrite of Title IX. So the majority of us need to speak up and stand up and be a force against it.
That's right. This is not a time to be silent or to shrink back into the shadows. And Congresswoman Mary Miller, thank you for speaking out boldly on behalf of families and common sense on Capitol Hill.
You're welcome.